Hello. I'm sorry, I am getting invaded again. I am getting invaded again. This is what's going on. He decided he needs more attention. And I am ready to work, and it's about polymer clay. And he loves polymer clay. He always lays down on he topples my folder where I keep the polymer clay, and he lays on it. So that's the polymer clay cat. There's a reason why he's always in the end of my videos. Okay, do you mind? Can I start working now? Your Highness. Hi, Colleen. Your Highness. You're gonna fall. You're gonna fall. Connor. Do you mind? Yeah. Say hello to people. Say hello to people. There. He loves on you now. Okay. Can you get off? Can you get off? There's no room in my lap. He fell. I said it was going to happen. You're funny. Go. Shoo, shoo. Shoo, shoo, shoo. Go. He just wants attention. Oh, well. So let's go back to the calcite. Hi, Teresa. You just missed a show of Connor, who might come back because he doesn't look very deterred. What? He's looking like he's ready to jump on my chair again. Yeah. Hi, Sherry. Yeah, you know, he always does. Okay, so let's go back to calcite and see exactly what we are trying to imitate here. And actually, I am going to bring the other camera down for a bit because on that one, I can actually control the focusing because I want to show you exactly what's going on. So there wouldn't be any kind of confusion on what we are trying to make. Because calcite, it might sometimes look like it, but it is very different from quartz. Okay, I don't want to show you my own person. So let's try remove the autofocus and try and there we go. So the calcite has completely different crystals than quartz does. Not only that, but calcite, they are different, completely different minerals. Calcite is a carbonate, and quartz is a silicon dioxide, so it's practically made of oxygen and silicon. And the other major thing is that, and actually I didn't bring it, give me just a second. Okay, sorry for that. This is because of the different form of crystal. Quartz, for example, can make these points. And it doesn't matter what type of quartz it is, it will make these points. It might have inclusions in it, it might have fractures, it doesn't matter. It will have the points. You will not find in calcite the hexagonal type of crystals, but you can find a lot of fractures. As you can see, there are a lot of fractures here. The problem that we have is to try and imitate this fracture thing and also give the impression of shininess that comes from inside. The other thing between the calcite and the quartz is that calcite generally, they both can be translucent, but calcite generally has slight hues of other colors, while the quartz can be directly colored. So considering that, let's see what can we make. And I had a few requests to also show you, if possible, the equivalent in Primo, not just Pardo. So I will try to do that as well, because as I said, it's a different way of working with Primo than it is with Pardo. The main thing when talking about, hi Dawn, when talking about imitating the fractures and that inner shininess that actually is a fracture, so it's a color thing, it's a light thing, not a color thing. In Primo, it's very easy to imitate with mica powders. The problem with Pardo is that once you put powder in it, it will not be wanting to get back together. So how can we imitate all those things when it doesn't want to get back together? Well, there are several ways, and I will show you two of them. As I said, the calcite is the second more work thing. So I already got some clay already conditioned, so you don't have to wait for me to condition it. And you can see, if you search on Google on calcite cabochons, that sometimes you can find a little bit of a honeycomb-like texture. What did I do with my... Sorry, but I got everything off the table yesterday to do the whole never need. And now I realize I didn't put everything back. You will find some of the so-called honeycomb texture in the yellow calcite, but you can also see that there might be a gradient. Now, the thing is that, as you could see before, the translucent grabs quite a bit of color, and it's not very hard to make it not translucent anymore. On the other hand, we have the colored translucents. Hi, Carrie. We have the other translucents, the ones that are already colored. What you have to be very careful about them is that they are very, very powerfully tinted. And because of the fact that, remember, Pardo translucent, until it is baked and cooled, it will look white. So it's the same thing that happens with the tinted translucents. So you have to think that this will look several good shades darker once it is baked and cooled. So we are going to make a little bit of a gradient with this. Oh yeah, and I also had somebody sent me some questions, and one of them was like, if you're showing us all this stuff, you will not be making any more tutorials on making gems? Yes, I will. What I'm showing you now is how to make them in an easier way. And not only that, but how to think when you're trying to come up with the gemstone imitation, so you don't have to necessarily depend on one person or another to show you. And I'm showing you here most common gemstones and the ones that can be the easiest obtained. Of course, I'm going to make tutorials even about the calcite, even about the coral, but those were more complicated and more realistic. You'll still get a decently realistic looking stone by doing these very, very simple things. But I'm doing this especially so you can create something by yourself. So I'm going to get this piece of translucent. It looks white, but it is translucent. And I'm going to create a gradient, and I'm not going to place a lot of yellow because, as I said, it is very strong. So let's get this here. And you notice that I didn't place anything here. I didn't place anything here because I'm going to get some of this lemon calcite, which is yellow calcite. And I am going to put a little bit of it right here. Now, again, remember, whenever you're trying to imitate calcite, you have to think that it's not like quartz. It will only have a slight tinge of color. It will not be super duper colored. And actually, I might have a little bit too much here. It might be okay. I'll see. I might have to add a little bit more translucent on this side. We'll see how it comes out. Now, what I'm going to try and do is to get, while I am doing the Skinner blend, to also get the remove plaquing part. Even if we want a little bit of plaquing, we don't want too much of it. So let me move this over to the pasta machine. And before I do anything else, I'm going to run some already dirtied translucent, just to make sure that I don't pick up any other colors. And now I'm going to narrow it down a little bit. And then I'm going to press a little bit with the roller, not move the camera because I'm just. And I'm doing this because I want to do the remove plaquing, and when it's too wide, I cannot do it. If you watched, I think that it's only on my website. If you watched it, you'll know what to do to remove, and it's valid not just for Pardo, but also for Primo. this should be enough for now. Then the next thing I'm going to do is we need to imitate those fractures. So I'm going to get a little bit of platinum. If you do not have platinum, you can mix a pinch of white micro pearl. Don't use the regular pearl because the mica particles are a little bit too big. If you have cosmetic grade mica powder, that will be perfect. So I'm going to use about, let me see, about 2.5 the amount of platinum. I will use the transparent. I'm not going to move the camera again because all I'm doing is just mixing. Just a second, because I forgot to get something else. Okay, this is a trick I'm going to show you. It's kind of like Teresa's trick, but thinner. Yeah, translucent is great to clean the rollers. Thank you. Okay, hi Donna. Okay, these are heat packs, patches that you can get at the Dollar Tree store. That means that you get, I forgot, there are like 2 or 3 of them, 6 patches for $1. The thing is, and I buy these not for the heat patch, I buy these for this. They are glued on these. And Teresa has a trick like this. She buys also from the dollar store stuff where self-sticking stickers are on, and she uses it for this. But I discovered that these are better because they are super thin. So if you want to obtain something that is super thin without it shredding, and I'll show you the difference. I'll shred the cleaning one, and then we'll do this one. So because we will need a very, 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 very thin platinum thingy. So let me show you how. Now see, if I go on my machine and on most machines, when you try to go on the thinnest possible setting, let me make sure that it is. Yes, it is. Your clay will shred. I mean, I don't know if there are many machines that will not shred the clay. So this is the 9. Look what happens. Well, maybe not this time, but this is what happens most of the time when you try to go super thin. So in order to be able to go super thin, but without shredding, first we'll go 2 up to the, I mean, not necessarily 2, but to the thinnest where your machine doesn't shred. And there we go. This is, but it is not thin enough for what I need it for. So I'm going to actually get just half of it and put the rest here. And I am going to practically sandwich it. Your problem here will be, first let me set the machine, to not sandwich it to start with, because if you do, it's going to bunch up. So your main thing here will be to kind of keep these separate for a bit, and be careful because this has a shiny side and a dull side, and you want the shiny side to be there. So kind of try to keep the clay in the middle and the two liners separate. I hope I can do it like this under the camera. It's still bunched up a little bit. But there you go. You can get the super duper thin without it shredding. Now let's get back here. And we will do first, and I'll just keep doing them and baking them so that while I'm doing one, the other one will get baked. Yes, another dollar store, the Dollar Tree. I don't know if you might find these at the dollar store too, but I found them at the Dollar Tree. There might be other heat patches. And the way that I discovered this was by accident, because there was a neighbor who asked me to buy some for them. And I brought it to her, and I was like, are these that good? And she was like, oh, let me show you. They are huge, they are big, and they are so much cheaper than the other ones. These won't wrinkle, and the clay won't wrinkle. See how it's really nice. And when she opened one and I saw her unsticking, I was like, okay, I need to get some and try them with clay. And it worked just fine. So as I said, we'll make a few and then I'll put those in the oven and then make something else. We'll do practically the same thing that I did Sunday. I might need a little bit of rest at one point, but we'll just keep going for as long as I can. Because today the storms aren't supposed to hit until like 10 o'clock. So hopefully no storms will get close enough to influence me. Because I start getting in certain pains even when the storms are about 80 miles away. It's whenever the barometer starts falling. So I am going to get just half of this and show you this method with half and the other method with the other one. And actually I'm going to show you the other one first because the other one needs a little bit of time to set. So yeah, I should have started backwards. Let's put this aside for now and go with the other one. And for the other one, as I said, if you use plain powder on it will not want to stick. And you need to tell me when I forget to straighten the camera. Okay. No, like this. Yes, unfortunately, they are only this big. If you can find, or if there are any other brands that the patches are stuck on the same type of sheet, that's great. So getting back to what I was saying, the Pardo thing, and I'll actually show you what happens. Because, you know, with Primo, you can put some mica powder there, like I showed you in the, I don't know, the pink quartz tutorial. And in the rhodochrosite tutorial, I think I used it too. But generally, whenever you want in a quartz to mimic the fracture line, all you have to do, you know, you make your little cabochon thing, and depending on the type of cleavage that, and we are not talking boobs, we are talking about cutting. Hi, Anne. Anna. Sorry, not Anne. Anna. Yeah, he's back. He's back. He's back. Well, when I get this to the oven, I might show you a little spectacle. Yes, 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 yes. He's here, and he loves his mama. Connor, what you doing? You love mama? Yes. You love Mama? Connor. Oh my goodness, he loves his Mama and he wants to be with his Mama. Come here. Connor, come here. Come here. Come here. Come here. Oh my goodness, he's so gorgeous. Yeah. Okay, so yeah, I know you told us so many times that sticker backing paper works great, but I thought that this one was very, very thin, so it would be usable when doing stuff that's really thin. Yeah, he's on my... There he is. He's back. Hello? What you doing? What you doing? You want to play with clay? No, leave the clay alone. Connor, if you don't go, I'm gonna kiss you. He hates being kissed. But he also likes the attention. I'm gonna kiss you. If you don't go, I'm gonna kiss you. Dear. Maybe that will make him go away. I know it sounds bad. Okay, let me grab some mica powder. No, it didn't go away. Well, so getting something with regular Pardo, if we want to do a fracture, so if it would be in a crystal that has random fractures, we just break. If it is a cleavage fracture, then we cut. So let's pretend this is some kind of quartz, and if I want to do a imitate a fracture, what I'm going to do is to just simply get some mica powder here. And then put the pieces together, which when we are talking primo, and this is a scrap piece that's not even conditioned, it's from when I showed you the stuff with glitter. So if we talk primo, I can cut primo. I can get some mica powder on it. And then I can put it back together with no worries because it will stick. You just need to be a little bit convincing and it will stick. But trying to do the same thing with Pardo. You can try and try and try, and whenever you're the happiest because your cabochon is done and all that, it's going to come apart because it doesn't stick properly. So what can we do? The easiest thing to do is to actually get a little bit of translucent liquid clay. But be very careful because I would not recommend to use the regular TLS, but use either the clear or use the Kato polyclay. Fimo gel would work as well because it's transparent enough, but just don't use the regular, use this, hold on, let me bring it. I swear I have it. I swear to you, I have it. It's somewhere here. I just cannot find it. Is this one? No, this is Beacon Mode. I have it. It's somewhere here. But I told you I just messed up. I have had a lot of mishaps with my drawer tower collapsing and all that. So I have all kinds of stuff all over the place. Anyway, so Again, let's just use the either the clear, the Kato polyclay, or Fimo gel. Let me see what. Yeah, probably. Yeah, you probably could. But if you get the thin laminated, then it probably, the thing is that it might get attacked by the clay. So that's the only problem you might have. If you have a laminate that doesn't get attacked by clay, then by all means, because I tried, you know, there's that transparency film for a printer. On some brands get attacked by clay, some brands don't. So anyway, let's get a little bit of liquid clay. And get some micro pearl in it. We don't need a whole bunch, just some. And then the other mixture that we need, the other thing that the calcite has fractures of, is this thing that makes it look like sugar, and that will be plain white. And if you want to go on the plain white as well, you can make the same as I did the platinum. You can make the plain white and then make also some chalk pastel on this, or you can use the vintage ivory. So I'm going to use just the vintage ivory because the chalk pastel might not be fine enough to do it. And if you didn't know, whenever you try to clean anything that's with liquid clay, just go ahead and use alcohol and it will come out right away. Okay, so I'm going to use the vintage ivory on this. And I said I'm doing this first because you need to wait for a little bit before forming your cabochon. But I'm using the vintage ivory because it's already a little yellowish, like ivory is. Yeah, this should be enough. I got some on the tile. So I have this as well. Now, remember when I showed you in the lapis tutorial how you mix the gold leaf without disturbing the arrangement of your little layers of lapis? Yeah, not TLS. That's exactly the thing. Don't use just the plain TLS because it's not transparent enough. You need to use either the Scalpy Clear or Kato Polyclay or Fimo Gel. All right, so obviously what we are going to do here is to chop this. But as I said, hey, don't you start it. They're confronting each other in the hall. We are going to chop this and trying to keep a little bit, because even if you have gradient in a crystal, most of the time it will not be all like this. There is one type of calcite that will have that kind of stuff, and I will make a tutorial about it, but that's a surprise. So you don't want to have them squarish, obviously. So we go back and we kind of chop. And then let me grab a piece of wax paper. Go away. Yeah, it's just attention he wants. They have food, they have water, they have everything. And their litter box is clean. So he's just being a little turd. Okay, so let me place this here. And then what we want to do is to mix a little bit of that because, as I said, powder will not do it. If you put powder in here, it will not stick together anymore. So I'm going to just smear some of this. I don't want it everywhere. I just want it on some little areas. Because once you have some of this there, then you can put a little bit of powder. Because you'll have the sticking game. So on top of the powder that you put in here, you can put more powder in between. And then we'll get some of the one with mica. Stay there. Let me actually grab it with something else. Oh. It doesn't go too easy with the toothpick. And I told you that besides that one, I very seldomly use the other ones in the set. This is one that I use all the time for measuring and for grabbing stuff because it's got this nifty little scoop-like thing. There are a lot of them that have scoops. Can you do it the other way? Yeah, you can. If you want to gather more of what you have here, you can do this, obviously, to make sure that you didn't waste anything. And now we can gently get a pinch of the powders. And what did I do with it? Did I put it back? I'm so sorry. It's like I must have put it back. I'm going to sprinkle just a bit of the ivory. No, I did not. It's somewhere here. What in the world? It just disappeared. Okay, this is, I must have gremlins. I cannot find my little mica powder thing that I just used. What in the world? I'm gonna just use the macro pearl because I cannot find the micro one. It was just here. Teresa are sculpting faces. And I'm not going to use a lot, especially because I don't find the micro. And just gently toss a bit more. Just try to keep the arrangement. And then bring it all in. Now it's going to be a little messy, but it's fine. But otherwise, if you don't use the liquid clay, it will not stick. Let's do. Make sure that it's all pressed together. You don't want to roll, you don't want to squish too much because you don't want to mess up your what you just made. Now, another thing, because this will have to sit and wait for a little bit. Another thing, sometimes it does have linear fractures, and we have here a whole bunch of powder mixed with liquid. So just simply cut a piece, wipe it down on the, and that's how you'll know if you have too much powder, because it will refuse to go. And just try to find a spot that has more. Okay, I got too much powder on it. We can make it. And let's do this time, let's do one like this. And grab some more of the liquid clay. This is just to create the realism. And put it back. And let's do one more fracture and then we'll let it rest. Because we want that liquid clay to get a little bit more viscous. Okay, it does need liquid clay. And if we want a lot of fracture, because remember, whenever you cut, you will also smear. Hi, Suzanne. Yes, here we are. Okay, so once you're done with this, if you want more linear fractures, you can simply, you know, just do a few cuts because the blade will drag down, and you can even do it with the other side of the blade, with the blunt side. And then really, really get it together. There you are. And make sure that it's well consolidated. Oops. Okay, now this can rest for a little bit. And while this rests, we'll do the other part. And it will also involve chopping. So we get the other gradient we got. And let's chop at it a little bit. Oh, Suzanne, you know you can watch this in replay when you wake up. Okay, now we got this. Let's grab about half of your really, really thin clay. You don't really care about getting it off in one single piece. You can bring it in several pieces because you're going to chop it anyway. But you need it to be thin to start it with. Okay, I doubled this up so it's not good anymore. And now I'm going to chop this in the other ones. Because this way it will create some lines of very fine pearlescent, transparent pearlescent, actually. That will stick only to one side of the pieces we already cut. Nice to see you, and I'm glad that you finally managed to get one. I know that I don't usually do these in the afternoon. And see, I try to keep my gradient. There might be a few chops that, oops, that get mixed in the other side, but I'm trying to keep most of them on their side of the color. Okay, now let's get some more of this. And let's get one more piece. Because we do not want to have too much of this either. But this is what sometimes it gives calcite the aspect of sugar. It's like a piece of unground sugar. Okay, now we got it well, and we can start bringing it together. Good night, Suzanne. Thank you, Sherry. Now, generally speaking, because we are talking about a gemstone that's supposed to be relatively translucent, and if you look, as I said, if you do a Google search, you'll see that the jewelry type calcite is definitely more translucent than these pieces I showed you, even if normally and generally speaking, this would become translucent once it's nicely tumbled and polished. And so would this. This would actually make a very beautiful. It even has some orange hue, not just yellow. Because there is such a thing as orange calcite, and sometimes you have the translucent, whitish translucent to yellow to orangish in some pieces. But you'll see the jewelry worth calcite is a lot more transparent and doesn't have so many fractures. It still has some, but yeah, pretty much like a frosted webbing. Yeah, pretty much like that. So let me see which of these would be the best for. As you know, I don't have a ton of molds. I'm working on some, but right now I don't have a ton of them. So what we need to look for is for something that wouldn't be too deep, because we want to preserve the transparency. So definitely something like this, or like this, or like this is not good. This is a little bit too big for my own personal taste. And the same, something like this, it's too deep. So I will probably go for one of these, and might even go on this one or this one, but I'll flatten it some more because I don't want it to be that thick. So remember what I showed you last time? Always go for the inside, not on what you did all over the outside. So because I want to make a smaller one and a larger one, I'm going to actually cut it like this, because this will be my outside now. I don't know if you can. Hey, it wanted, but see, because of the fact that the translucent is not exactly translucent when it's raw, And that's the main issue when that's why Pardo in some things you kind of need to know how to work with it. You need a little bit of experience, especially when it comes to the color. If not, you need to do a lot of testing. Otherwise, you get surprises. You know, like thinking that you made translucent pink and you end up with a red stone. Yes, that was a job. So this should be good. Now let me try on these. And yes, you can simply just, when you have leftovers, you can simply just cut them up a little bit, the same as for the lapis. Let me see. This is definitely too much. Now, remember the other thing that I keep telling you, don't try to force Pardo too fast in the molds or it will crack. You always have to check the surface of whatever you take out of the mold to make sure you didn't crack it. So you need to be always very delicate with Pardo. It's royalty. But it's totally worth it. Hello. I think Whisper wants something now. Yeah, it's okay. Remember, I don't bother too much about the edges because I sand them right away. Now let's try and do one more cabochon. Let's go for the teardrop this time. Leave that alone. He found a piece of clay on the floor. From where, I have no idea. So again, going for the inside. Actually, I have a little piece here. Going for the inside. I'm going to gently. Yeah, you told me. I told you it's been so long since I worked with Cernit, and uh, definitely since they did all that, because they did reformulate a lot. I definitely did not work with Cernit after they, and look what I'm making here, I'm making messes, after they reformulated. Okay, now let's go back to the one that had to wait and make ourselves some cabochons out of it too. And you'll see it's a difference in the look. quite a bit of a difference in the look. Come on. I guess I cracked it. This wasn't perfectly clean. Get it back in. Because this is going to be very thin and kind of hard to sand. Much better. And let's get a bigger one for this. Or should I make one of those? And let's make another one of these. Yeah, it still wants to crack a little bit. Yeah, it's the clay factory of Marisa Gull. I think she's in California, isn't she? But yeah, if you look on, if you search on Google clay factory, you can find it. There are some vendors on Etsy that sell it too, but they are outside of the US, so it might take a while for you to get it. Okay, I made a mess. Guess why I made a mess? Corner here. That happens when you let a fuzzball get all over the place, but he's just too cute of a fuzzball not to. Yeah, it's fairly close to you, isn't it? Yeah, I told you YouTube got really nasty about links. I mean, I had to approve 3 times a comment that had a link before it finally showed up in the comments, and then I could not reply in the regular, like in the front end. I could not reply with links, and I cannot reply with links. Only if I go in the back end, in the channel owner area. Okay, I'll have to get once again. In the channel owner area, I can reply to the comments there. with link, but otherwise it will not let me post links. It got really iffy. But no, it's easy to find if you just look Clay Factory, it will bring it up. Okay, finally it's good. Okay, and this one, let's do a smaller teardrop. Will it fit? It will not fit for a larger teardrop. There might be some leftover on the small one, but and you can actually see now the differences because of that platinum one, the mica powders and such. Oh, come on. Did not perfectly dry. I'd actually put it in backwards. And I don't like that spot of undried liquid. Yes, Cernit is excellent for making flowers. Just keep in mind that it doesn't hold detail very good. And you might have to keep putting it in the fridge all the time because it gets very soft, especially if you have warm hands. It gets very soft very quickly as you work with it. It needs cooled off. Okay, so this is good to get in the oven. And let me do a short primo real quick, and then we'll take a short break while these are getting baked. Okay. Let me do a short primo because primo is so much easier to do than Pardo, and not as spectacular though. The second I'm trying to find my alcohol. Okay, so we need just a touch of this, and I'm going to actually try less than a touch of brown. It's pretty much. So let me do a gradient real quick. And the rest I'm doing exactly like I did with the Primo. The advantage with the Pardo advantage is that with Primo you can actually see when you did combine it properly with the translucent. I still cannot believe that my micro pearl disappeared in the blue sky. Okay, on this one I'm going to use a little bit of chalk pastel because with the Primo it's much harder not to make stuff stick. Being a very stretchy, generally speaking, a very stretchy clay. I'm going to simply drop some powder on it. And then grab a little bit of this mica powder as well, which should be the micro pearl. And actually I have something new that we might want to try. Let's use a pinch of this peach opal magic mica. Yes, peach opal magic mica. You can find it in Trish's store And also in my Amazon influencer store, if you're not in the US, it is an absolutely fabulous mica powder that is all iridescent and stuff. And yes, I will make some tutorials with it, a lot of tutorials soon. As gently get this all over the place. And now start chopping. I sure hope that you won't start finding some of what I'm showing you now for sale soon in other people's. Because I'm showing it so you can not depend. Unless you really want to do something super duper, you can still do for free something decently realistic. Others, I use that Cernet in a lot of stuff. Okay, now let's put it together. And let's make a smallish one and a largish one. So let's first make a smallish cabochon. And it of course has to be under the ones that I need to get out for baking. No, it's not, it's the other one. Never mind. I didn't do as bad as I was going to say I did. See how this one looks way more colored than the Pardo one, but you'll see what happens after the Pardo gets baked. Okay, and let's do a simple, actually, let's do one of the, let's do a triangle. Because we can be rough with Primo. It's not a, oh my God, what are you doing to me? Kind of clay. I always said the Primo is the workhorse of polymer clays. Wedgwood, what are you talking about? What are you doing? And this one, let's just make it a so-called designer cabochon. I'm not sure how cool that opal magic will be. Might be a little bit too iridescent, but it will be cool. Now, you know what? I'm going to still use a, because it might get too many air bubbles. I'm gonna just use this and flatten it a little bit. Colored teal with Primo? Doesn't Primo, they don't make the sea glass anymore? Did you check in my Pinterest? Because I have a board there, I mean several boards just with colors, and I know I have the green too. It's from all over the place, from Cater's Acres, from Polyform, from, and I'm sure that you can find a recipe for Primo teal. Let me check. Actually, I'll have to get my keyboard here. Okay. Now, I will look during the break and I will be ready to post a link for you. So now let's take, it's 3:55. I will start again at 4:30, so in 35 minutes. By then, these things will be baked and cooled enough for sanding. So we'll be able to see how they came up and show you how to sand them, and then we'll buff them as well. I think I do have some, but I suggest you get these two, and then there's a few more. I think I put some in the Amazon shop. These you find at Polyclay Play, and they are the best flexible molds. Hold on, let me check if I have any in the Amazon shop. I know. I know. We are having a conversation here. Let me see. Because I think I might have taken everything that's best flexible molds from my Amazon store. Yeah, I did. Hold on, let me get you the link for best flexible molds. Because it's just a link, I don't have to pull my keyboard for that. Hey. So it's almonds and stuff. Yeah, almond cabochons is this one. And then there's a cabs and more that I want to get. This one is egg something. Egg, cabs, and more is this one. So as I said, I didn't get the cabs and more, but you get the egg, cabs, and more. Don't get the deep cabochon molds or the dominoes and more because they are very, very deep. They are best for resin. They are not that terrific for polymer clay. And let me see if there was another one. Yeah, there's another one that's a standard settings cabs for bezels, but you have only like 4 bigger ones. The other ones are small. The cabo shapes, also there are several cabo shapes. Those are very deep. Let me show you how deep they are. And that's the main issue with them. Because, let me first put in the link. Give me just a second. Oh, come on. It doesn't want to do it. I'll have to get my... Okay, there you go. I posted the link, and let me show you the cabo shape. I have the shields, but you'll see what I'm talking about when I say that they are very deep. They are too deep. When you try to use them with polymer clay, you get some horribly thick pieces. It's excellent for resin, but not that terrific for polymer clay. See, so go for these, for the eggs, for the cabs and almonds, and the cabs and more that I don't have and I need to get. And then you also have the scalpy, and you can find it on Trish's site too. The scalpy one. That's not bad. And then I think that I posted the one for oval cab. I am looking, but I'm not going to say more. Just look forward because I might be working on some. I've been working, but I might be able to come up with them soon with certain types of cabochons molds. So, okay, let's take a break for half an hour and see you at 4:30 Central Time, whatever half an hour is wherever you are. So I'll see you soon again. Bye for now.